ask of money. Not that $97,000 isn't real, but any significant amount to help this project get off the ground. So we have made contact with their CPC, and I just again wanted to keep this loop privy to those details. Their funding, you all probably know this, but I didn't. It's a different split, so they are accepting applications through May, and then they fund them in the fall special town meeting. So that might perhaps work to our benefit. I don't know if it would be a matter of buttoning up things that we need to.
Well, I not interrupt, but I think your best case scenario would be fall for us also. So they should be close to the same. I mean,
That'd be handy.
you're not going to be ready for spring for what we want, but you could certainly be ready for fall if we had a fall meeting.
Our CPC funds, or both at the fall and spring.
As long as we have a fall town meeting. They don't have one every year.
Okay.
But they might. They have been the past
Yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah.
We typically have them now because we want zoning proposals to be on the fall cycle and not tie up the annual town meeting. So, but traditionally, we have not had any CPC
Yeah,
at
they've
fall,
had,
but we can.
they had one or
right?
two, but they
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
want them. But we said, you
Yeah.
can't. It's not fair to make people wait
That's
for a
right.
year for their money.
Right, right.
So if it was something that perhaps was looking like that between the towns, because that's something I had already thought of, that if we were surveying Dennis, it's not really fair to have Yarmouth pay for all of it, but how would that work that we would,
Well, we probably wouldn't want to anyways, but I would suggest you do them both
okay,
and hope we have a fall.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you want to be there.
Not trying
If
to
it
be
happens.
wise, because we have a former selectman here, but they don't like us being on the fall. But when it's a matter of time is money, as you know, the longer we wait on projects, the higher the cost goes. So if we're something that you were ready for fall,
okay,
I would think you could do it.
okay. So this group here, it meets truly the entire calendar year for the
Yes.
CPC? Yeah.
We try not to meet in the summer, but
Okay.
doesn't always work.
Okay, so that's news for me, okay, and then the rest really is just, again, my own head was, after the last meeting, just trying to unpack different things, the whole premise that makes us not ready now is that we don't have the IRS determination letter, so that's understood. But beyond that, just the idea of having a fiduciary sponsor, and is that legal or not? I did reach out to two different CPA firms, one that specializes in nonprofit work.
In
But
my
you want-
opinion, it would be. I mean, that's, the cultural center was not a town project. That's why last time you were here, we talked about the splash pad versus the cultural center.
Right,
The cultural center was a 501c.
But they're 501c3.
so once we are established, and once we, and that's also a variant between Dennis and Yarmouth, as I understand, this group can reimburse, or is reimbursed after something is rent.
After you pay for something, we reimburse. it.
That's different than Dennis.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is,
I don't see
If-
how Dennis could do that. Because it's a state law.
for.
We only-
Foley, I talked to, he said they look at, apparently they look at the group, whoever it is that's submitting the application. And many times he said, we understand as like a seed beginning organization that simply doesn't have the funds that we're willing to take the risk.
Well, we don't do that.
So
if he-
it's different.
Oh, you can persuade them yet.
Different between the towns. That was something new to learn, is that, okay, so we need to have, for Yarmouth, we need to have funds.
Oh, it's different in Barnstable too, so
Okay.
they're all different.
Okay, but as we continue to work together, both pursuing CPC funding, that it has, each town has its own.
Yeah, obviously, if you're applying to each town, you'd have to check with them and see what their regulations are.
Okay,
Can I ask a question on the,
Yep.
Can the CPC allocate funds with actually say, okay, we think this is a good project, you put together the the outline, the details, and we will reserve. Can you do that? Can you reserve like,
Well, the minute, in my opinion, the minute we vote to give it to them and it goes through town meeting, the money is reserved.
okay, but it's not necessarily dispersed
No, we
until,
don't disperse
until
it
proof
till we
is-
reimburse,
right, okay. But then,
but the money is already there.
right,
So the outlining.
so if they were able with their 501c3 organization to get organized and get presumably a location, that sort of thing, and be ready to move ahead. And at that point, can they come and get an allocation of funds? At what point can they get the allocation?
Once they have a bill that they've paid that we reimburse.
No, I mean allocation, not disbursement, but allocation of funds.
What do you mean?
Well,
I don't
well,
understand.
in other words, if they're asking for $50,000. You're not gonna present them with a check for $50,000. You're gonna say, okay, we'll agree to reimburse you up to $50,000 for this purpose. When you provide the details, then we'll cut the checks.
Right.
Isn't that the way?
Yes.
The
It's
process
reimbursement,
goes?
right.
Okay.
And we went through, it's not entirely, we went through it. The town accountant's been very strict about that
Mhm.
with the
Sure.
new person, and we just worked through it with Friends of Bass River. Because they didn't have any funds either,
Right.
and they're like screaming at me, it's not my call. First of all, it's a state law, and second of all, the town accountant's aware of it.
Mhm.
And there is a new finance director who just started about a month ago. And I am gonna talk to her about, as far as town policy or her understanding, the status of that fiduciary sponsor as a general rule, how it would be handled.
Well, that's how it was explained to me by the principal of this CPA firm that has multiple offices on the Cape. Is he said it sounds as though your town is just not comfortable with the idea of a fiduciary sponsor. But the idea of a fiduciary sponsor is not a concept that we made up.
No,
Or
we know it
we were
exists.
advised, and you just, any other nonprofit could, act as your escrow to
Mhm.
get this process started. So again, we were premature, but
And now, like I say, now we have a new person in charge of finance, and she'll make the rule.
right.
Yeah, it changed when we changed from the last one. That's where we got, which we were trying to help you. I don't want you get in the middle of having this bill that you can't pay.
Right, well,
But unlike the cultural center, if this is gonna be a town project down the road, it has to have town administrative support. And if you don't have the town administrative support,
Well, we
That-
went through this.
Yeah.
I think she understands. It's either a town project or it isn't.
right, but that goes back to kind of another,
But if it becomes a 501c, I am just assuming it's not gonna be a town project.
right.
then who's gonna build it?
She is.
She is.
Well, aren't we talking about first determining if there's a need? And that's what this funding is looking for.
Right.
And then the bigger question is linked to, if you determine there's a need and a survey or a study, however they're gonna do this, determines a need, then how is it gonna be paid for? I mean,
Well,
that's the
again, it
second-
depends on if it's a 501c. That's why I used last meeting, the two examples, splash pad versus cultural center.
Right,
Cultural center was no town project,
right.
but the splash pad was entirely a town project.
But isn't the sense that we talked about is if this went forward and then the second part wanted to be funded, wouldn't there be more support around it being supported by the town? as
Well,
you
we
said?
want support from the town anyways. That's
Right.
because you're still using taxpayer money.
I get that,
But I can, I sit on a couple of board of directors for two 501cs, not in this town. I sit on the other side of the table. And we have to have the money in the bank to pay the people.
Right.
This is in Barnstable. We have to pay the vendors and then get reimbursed. And we don't start a project till we know we already have the money in the bank. So we get a bill, we pay it, and they reimburse us. So if you have if
Mhm.
you have a $300,000 project, you really need like $150,000 in the bank if you're not going through the town.
Anyway, this is phase one.
I get
I'll
that.
use like as an example, like the barn up at Taylor Break Farm, okay? First, you had to determine whether or not the barn could be rehabilitated. That was phase one. This would be, do we want a pool?
Mhm.
The second phase was getting funds to redo the whole foundation. Then the third phase was doing the upper part of the barn, it's just phase one, phase two, phase three. And if this is phase one, do we want a pool? We have to know who's gonna be building the pool.
Well, I think
Well,
Caroline's
that's-
aware of the fact she's got to make that decision.
Right.
It's
Right.
either a town project or it isn't. And if it's a town project, you got to get somebody on board with it.
And that's really the applicant, to me, that's the applicant.
Yeah, and that's.
Well,
what
the
Christine
two-
said.
501Cs that I sit on, not in this town, they are not town projects. We raise the money ourselves.
That's right.
And there's a lot of advantages to that.
Yep, yep.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
We're pretty mindful of, we are speaking with all different groups within the town. Departments, and we will continue to meet with them until we get more enthusiasm. But in the meantime, that's not taking away from the fact that we are truly a grassroots group that does have the interest of people that are willing to financially support the idea.
Yeah, and we'll be
And quite frankly, you're no different than the Friends of Bass River.
Right.
correct.
Mhm.
They started with a core of people, quite frankly, who lived on a street in Bass River, near where I live. And they said, let's do something about our river. And they did. So you're no different. You are no different. But again, the thing that we've struggled with, Carolyn, and you're so patient with us, and we appreciate that. Because this is, I'm sure, been a bit frustrating for you. But it sounds like it's been a learning process as well. The fact that we have requirements that we need to know who you are. I said this at the last meeting, and you don't exist. You have a third party that's representing you. We prefer, the town of Yarmouth prefers someone who exists,
Right,
and you're moving in that direction.
right.
So,
Yeah.
that's where we want to be able to support you.
Right.
I'd like to back up and just say, it was February 23rd at Yarmouth Senior Center. Did you say the time? Because I didn't catch that.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. and the 23rd February.
It's
And the
it's also in the
formal
handout.
ribbon cutting ceremony.
Yeah.
Is that, I didn't catch.
Oh,
what-
thank you.
That's about supporting this endeavor, or what is that something separate? I didn't.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's
The
like
handout.
Joanne was saying she
A little while
doesn't
ago.
exist. I would assume that would be celebrating your existence.
No, the idea is, it was again recommended to us that we become a member of the Commerce. Of course, we thought that was
It's
a wise
It's a
decision.
great idea.
And they said, oh, for any new group, this is what we offer as a package to get some visibility and to get more people.
Get the public out. No. I don't let the public know already, they'll shoot me now.
Right.
So you had on here, I think it's like 4 questions.
Oh, that was more or less my own brainstorming, but I don't know if
I think we just went through a couple of them.
No, it was the handout that was on the
Right there, at the
desk
bottom,
when you
Lee.
came in.
Right there,
The
Yeah.
sheet, like,
at the bottom.
it's got the time on there for the ribbon cutting too at the top.
yeah, I guess I just was wondering from this group
Oh, I'm
perspective.
I would, Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce, but I thought you said, yeah. So it's being held at the Yarmouth Senior Center, but it's the Chamber of Commerce? Okay, all right. That
Sorry.
answers my confusion.
I just didn't know if it is truly like just word of mouth. I mean, we're doing the best we can, but,
If you really want to get the word out, going through the chamber will be great.
And also social media.
yeah.
Mhm.
There's so many groups just in Yarmouth and Dennis alone between. You know, just general groups and parent groups and not, I mean, I have no kids, my kids are all gone, thank God, place is gone. But it's, I'm involved with the Girl Scouts and it is amazing how much stress get on the few groups for cookie sale, like how it just spreads and then it goes into another group and I see it pop up somewhere else. So that would be great. Just little, you know, in January, early January, hey, we're gonna have this event on the 23rd. We'd love for everybody to come, you know, our kids invited. Are you gonna
Right.
have like
Right.
little stickers or something for
Right.
people to wear or pins?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's another expense, but like,
No,
what's gonna be if I'm bringing my grandkids?
Right.
Because we're enthusiastic about it.
right.
What, besides like saying, oh, we're gonna do this, like, what's gonna be the enticement for me to come with my grandkids?
No, that's well.
Yeah.
received,
Or
thank
Gary to bring his grandkid, you know, like.
Yeah.
That, but the social media, because there's no newspapers, there's no.
Right.
That's it. And once it's in one group, it's amazing how people just keep sharing it.
And also people are very visual.
Yeah.
The great thing to work towards is you can do it for a reasonable price. You can even do it through the internet, but to get some type of rendering. So that people see this is, and you may not even have the site yet, but you get a rendering of the pool with all the people and people envision
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, just
Mhm.
like our splash pad.
Right.
I could expect
Yep.
the splash pad that we got, which is even
Well,
better.
we did it with the dog park also,
Yep.
because
Oh,
I did
that's the one I'm
I
talking
did the
about.
rendering. for it.
Oh, there you go. Can you render a pool?
Now, those were done on town land,
Yes,
so.
the dog park, I don't know if they're a 501c, but it's definitely on town land.
Okay, so, for
I
example.
think it is because it's Friends of Yarmouth Dog Park.
Okay. So, are the pickleball. for
Town land.
Another major funding, and that was on town land. So I don't know what point it might be appropriate, for. If the town administrator perhaps, or I'm not sure what the best avenue might be.
I think you'd want to talk
Is
with,
there
with
land
Bob
available?
and with Jeff Colby and see, do you have any options for land?
Okay, I mean, it would be a natural, I would think, for Black's Pond. I don't know how much additional land there is available. There's lots of parking. Maybe, I don't know, the senior center, for example, if there's
I don't
land available contiguous to that, that might be appropriate. Again, lots of parking available. I think there's some avenues that could be pursued in that. Once the framework and there's some support, I think, to move ahead.
I think it would be nice if you could find a
Yeah.
site.
Yeah.
Because even when we did the splash pad, we looked at 3 different sites
Okay.
before we
Right.
even ended up where we did.
That's
Mhm.
part of, one of the elements of the feasibility study is that they have a geotechnical engineer. Ultimately, it would be like the depth of the soil. And the
Yeah, and
topography
But
is
it
evaluated
wouldn't,
as to which-
wouldn't hurt you to go around and ask the town, would it be possible that we had this part of that parcel?
So, Christine, I happen to be an appraiser for my own career. I know a little bit too much about getting in there and looking at parcels of land. I thought someone like Christine might be a good person being on the open space committee, but who would be the
Open
recommendation?
space
You're
has
saying
nothing
Jeff
to do with
Colby.
it.
Just,
Jeff
okay.
Yeah.
Colby would be.
Jeff-
You couldn't put it on open space.
Okay.
Space saves land, and puts conservation restrictions on it.
Okay.
couldn't develop.
And nothing to do with.
Right,
Okay.
Jeff and Bob would be the 2 places to hit.
And
Don't tell Jeff I said.
there's the other piece to keep in mind is, from what I've read, on the coalition website, the CPC funds can be used for the pool, provided it's on recreation land.
Mm.
So
Absolutely.
couldn't be, it would have to be designated as such.
Don't worry, I was looking at 250 Summer Street.
I knew it was gonna be-
Lovely for the kids from the pond.
Yeah, all right.
But no, you guys stayed at Matakees until 11 p.m. to get the conservation restriction, I think, on that one.
It's conservation restrictions on all the land up there.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no open land.
But it might be more beneficial, I think, as they studied traffic patterns too, something approximate to Route 6 would be beneficial for people coming from Dennis or. I think that's.
Some of those families over, like Sandy Pond, you know, everybody's gonna use that.
You have to also understand that the town has any number of parcels, but they're also looking to have a new firehouse. They're looking for a new library. They're looking for, affordable housing. So there's a lot of competition for those parcels that the town owns.
Right, there's an active.
Well, they could, but I mean, we've got a couple of ideal recreation areas, Sandy Pond and Flax.
Mhm.
And I don't think they're going to put a fire station in Flax Pond.
But Flax Pond, isn't that kind of closed in the summertime with the camps?
Yes,
So
no one's allowed
you
on
you
this.
can't put another activity there if it's gonna be closed for the camps.
Well, it depends.
Well,
on the type
I'm
of
sure we'll work
Well, I
through
think
the-
it could.
It'd be up to the Recreation Commission, right, right. Yeah, thanks for the update.
Not my problem, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
thank you.
To let you know, when we started with the cultural center, I don't think anybody on this board would, except me.
Oh, no, I wasn't. in this one.
Who was?
No, I knew about
I
it.
can tell you, we were widely criticized for giving them money. XTK, I'm listening to it on a Saturday, saying how stupid most people. And I was driving, so I couldn't get to a phone. Anybody look at that as a stupid investment for the town of Yarmouth?
It's fabulous.
So
It's perfect.
we're kind of going down the same route. And if you want, go and talk with Bob Nash. Bob Nash started off not liking me,
Did we receive an award?
but he did it. He worked through it with your enthusiasm.
Eric, didn't we receive an award?
Yeah, we got an award from the state. Went to the state house and
I was on the board that.
got a plaque. You were.
I'm
Just one other thing for you, Carolyn, I'm not sure if you know that the parcels of land around the senior center are owned by the Yarmouth Housing Authority.
Some,
State, a
not
state,
all, Not all.
some. A
southern-
parcel,
the
some
southern
parcels,
portion.
yeah,
The southern
are
portion.
owned by the Yarmouth Housing Authority, which is a state agency. Town has no control over them. I don't know if you know that. So if you go to the Barnstable Registry of Deeds,
I'm a client that's there at
I-
the senior center.
There's quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't impose on Yarmouth Housing Authority.
Yeah.
to
Yeah, but I'm just
donate.
saying, as a possibility, if they're gonna build something there, throw
Oh,
in a
yeah.
pool.
Oh, I can tell you what you're gonna be up against when you do.
Yeah, we've already heard it at the planning board. But, it's an idea. And you're looking for
It'd be fun to
ideas.
see how that flies. It won't.
I know, it won't. The neighborhood don't want it, but a lot of people didn't want accessory dwelling units either. And we were able to get that through, so, if you work it right, it can work.
So anyways, thanks for coming in and keeping us updated.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for hearing my concerns. Really appreciate that. There's a lot going on in the paper, if you're paying attention to that, about appropriate.
Oh, yeah.
issues, so.
Yeah. Thank you for all the work you've done. You've
Oh.
definitely crossed your Ts and dotted your Is. No, you're working towards it. It's a learning process and you're doing it.
It's a work in progress.
Exactly. Don't forget you when you cup of coffee.
I would just to circle back and say thank you again.
No, keep your enthusiasm, please.
Yeah.
Have a good holiday.
Thank you.
Yes, have a good one.
All right, and so next we would have budget revision from We have the whole budget here for the Yarmouthport Library.
All right. So you got the memo.
Yep.
From the Yarmouthport Library, right? They finished all their work. And where's the budget? Let me look at the budget. So like the masonry, I'll start at the beginning. The gutter replacement cost $5,000. Their budget, when they submitted their application, was $9,800. The repointing of the bricks came in at $21,000. And their application had asked for $28,600. So again, way under budget. The HVAC came in at $73,750, which is twice what the budget was of $36,829.
Yep, so if I remember, and Joanne, maybe you remember, we went through, because they were gonna apply for the rebate. And we said the rebate's yours,
Mm-hmm.
but we weren't giving them the full amount to begin with.
Right, until they applied for the rebate, and were accepted for it, right?
Right,
And they
On the
Yep.
heat pumps.
yes.
so YLA applied for Mass Save Energy rebate on November 11th. And the anticipated return is $26,300, but they will not know until the application is processed. They updated us as we had asked in the contract for other applications to other grant funds, and they did apply to LaRusso and Bilzekian, but neither of those panned out. That's fine.
They didn't pan out,
They did
Is
not
this
pan out.
the
It says
foundation which was awarded? Is what this
but they
says.
needed a match.
they needed matching
Oh,
funds, which
okay.
they didn't have. And LaRusso just, they weren't awarded the grant from LaRusso. In summary, the gross expenditures have been $99,750.10, which is within the original grant amount of $100,000. They do anticipate the energy rebate of $26,300, which would result in a net expenditure of $73,450. But cannot be assured of that until the rebate application is processed. So
So,
So I'm remembering this as $125,000 request.
so did we make it conditional that they have to get the rebate? And then if they didn't, would we pay it?
no, I don't see, it says not to exceed $100,000.
Right,
And that is the limit, and they're still under it either way, right?
even if we paid the
Yeah.
full HVAC?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, George?
My recollection was that their original ask was $126,000. But had said there would be a rebate, and Joanne, questioned that, and we removed the 26,000. So we anticipated the total project cost being 126,000. And what we said is, okay, we're gonna give you 100,000. You need to have cash flow to cover the other 26. And if rebate, then that's off of your dime. But my understanding was that, given this scenario, that they didn't expend 126,000, so wouldn't we be the beneficiary of the rebate? If it ultimately comes in, it would come back to the CPA.
Well, I think Joanne was pretty adamant we didn't want to go that route.
I think what my bottom line was the net, if you will, would be whatever their expenditures were minus the reimbursement from Mass. So it looks like they're only looking for 77,000 here, not 100, even though they have expenditures that are 99,750.
But haven't they submitted requests for funding? Haven't we had disbursements to them of $99,000?
No,
No.
this came out because they put in their third reimbursement request for the HVAC. And that request was for the 73,450. But in this line item number one, they're allowed $36,829, not 73. So we do have a clause that allows 25% overage on any single line item. So if you applied that to the $36,829, that would bring that line item up $9,707 or $207 to 46,000. Right? They went over by 25%, we'd say, that's okay. We'll pay you the 46,000. That's still not enough, right? But they also have the contingency, which is in line 6, 25% contingency of 19,771. Which still doesn't get them to 73,000.
So the bottom line is, the town has not reimbursed any CPA funds to date.
They have been reimbursed for the gutter replacement and for the repointing.
So would they need to come up with the difference then for the HVAC? Until they get reimbursed by Mass Save?
They could, yep, that's one way to do it.
That was our original ask. They had to be aware they had to do
They
that.
had to get that money.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm presuming the application has been accepted. It's just a cash flow
Yeah,
issue
it
that.
takes a while for
Yeah,
those to go
yeah,
through.
it does. It typically, they have to send all of these bills similar to us.
Right.
They have to send, like anyone who does homeowner, their own home, they have to send them in and has to be, it goes through that bureaucracy, so. But I'm presuming they will get that money, the 26.
26,300, yeah.
So I think our outlay is the net. Our approval outlay should be the net.
I think that's what we had told them. I mean, you have to be aware that, you know, you would make a big deal of, you get the rebate, it goes to you. But you gotta
Yeah,
cover
we're not
that.
gonna apply for the rebate.
Right,
We
right.
don't wanna be involved.
Right.
So they get it.
Yeah, just like any
Which-
homeowner.
And they have, I mean, when they
too,
submitted
Anna.
the, you know, the payment request, they've got all their invoices, right?
So this is it sounds to me, this is a cash flow
flow
issue
for them.
for them.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Judy.
And sorry, I just.
Yeah, no,
That's a
it
good
happens
thing.
all the time.
Wow.
That's what I was trying to make Carolyn aware too. You know, you hire this architect or whatever, you gotta pay him. You gotta have the money to pay him. Give us the bill, then we reimburse you. But you need cash flow. You can't start with nothing.
And they just submitted the Mass Save rebate like 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And so it's good. And
Right,
the things too,
right.
it's November 11th.
Right.
Good, very good.
They applied for it. So last week, forget, it's only really been 10 days.
But
I
you'd
mean,
never
you
get,
guys-
you'd never get it in 10 days.
No, I'm
Right,
saying,
right.
When you look at their timeline, it's not like they submitted it back in September. It didn't just get done, so they can't submit it till the work is done and inspected. Okay.
No, but
It said I-
rebate on a boiler that was placed instantly.
Right, but they just, like a lot of the
Really?
units now, they want somebody to come out and inspect if the work was done. On top of, like, we're putting in a new furnace and it has to be inspected
Yeah, everything. had to
before
be
I can
inspected
be, no,
anyway.
but by Mass Save.
Oh,
To show
okay.
that I actually did it and it's there in the house before I can submit my rebate.
Really?
Yeah, the new thing now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, they look,
yeah.
they wanna
Yeah.
come in.
With we do the, bills again, what was the other one?
What?
Would they look for money, bills again, or they gonna give money or something? I missed that part. Belziggy and somebody else.
No, they
LaRusso,
got turned down.
yeah,
We
well, they
asked they apply and they did.
got turned down by LaRusso and Belzikian, they they got the grant and then found out they needed to have matching funds, which they didn't have.
Oh, okay.
So they can't
'Cause I
accept the
know
grant.
LaRusso's in tough position. Cause I collect money from them for the Yarmouth PD. And they fired everybody in that office.
Yeesh.
And LaRusso died, and then so I went there and I talked to the manager. He goes, you have to talk to me, I have to go to the lawyer, and we have to go to court. So get us this year. So last 2 years, they give us $6,000, I collect probably about between $30,000 and $40,000 for that 5K race. You know, I got like 80 people donating money. I think, wow.
George,
So, are we looking for a motion?
I don't know what
I
are
don't
we
know.
looking
Well,
for?
yeah, my question is that kind of written into the contract is, if my math is right, $65,807 available for HVAC replacement or HVAC, it says air conditioning there, but out of the 73,750 that they've requested. They're still not gonna be all the way up to 100,000.
But that's not our problem. The way I look at it. We told them this when we started.
So they're asking for 20, if I'm reading this right, they're looking for the 26,300 to tide them over to help pay the bill, that the rebate that they'll get later on. Is that correct? Is that what they're looking for?
That's what I think that's what they're
Well,
asking for, but
no.
we're not a bank. We don't loan money.
No, it's all paid. You can see all the invoices, right?
They're paid.
All the invoices are
They're
paid.
just telling them to wait for their rebate.
My math says the HVAC bill, Don Marie, that you gave us in the memorandum of 73,750.10.
Yeah.
They are expecting a rebate of 26,300. So the net to them that we should pay would be 47,450.
Mhm.
So I would like to make a motion that we release funds in the amount of $47,450.10
Mhm.
for payment to the Yarmouth Library Association.
Yeah, I think you're correct. Do we hear a second?
George, and Judy, you guys have been kind of with me on this. Does that sound right?
Well,
Please check my math.
on the balance sheet where they have all what's been paid and what hasn't, under the air conditioning replacement. Oh, they've spent already 46,036. So yeah, so they're under what you would allocate. Yep. Okay. You're right.
Yeah, I'm just looking at your memo,
Yeah.
Don Marie, where
No,
you,
this is from them.
I'm
That's
sorry,
not
from
me.
Brian Dudley.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Sorry.
But he summarized the total cost for the HVAC at the 73,750.10.
That's all they should get for that then, is the 47,450.
Net of
Yeah.
the rebate.
And then they wait for their rebate.
Good.
Okay, we have the motion seconded by Deb.
Debbie, I think, yep.
And we'll take a voice on the vote. Lee,
Approved.
Marianne, George,
Aye, Judy.
Hi, Debbie.
I, Joanne,
aye.
I think this is the amount. You make sure that's right.
I'll make sure that's right. Right.
I am not an accountant.
Okay.
I am not.
Yeah, they'll give you 10 cents.
That's right.
Okay, let me put my paper back
So you're
together.
gonna let
So,
them know. what we're doing,
yes,
right?
yes, I shall. And the next one is
We have an update on the Friends meeting.
similar scenario with the Friends Meeting House, but we got
So where
Bob
did
here.
Christine go? We should get.
Oh,
Christine
yeah,
back in, right?
like, there you go.
She comes. You go shopping for me?
Hey, Bob,
Hi, everybody.
how are you?
Good.
You're gonna be on TV. It's gonna show on TV.
Why don't you come to this end, Bob?
Yeah.
I come back.
Interesting.
Okay. good. Thank you. So to recap our situation, well, right up front, we're not asking for more money. Okay, that's, we are. This is that, but we are not
Oh, I've got a
asking. for
quarter.
more. Requested in the acceptance letter that we retain an engineer and not try and do this ourselves. If you remember, we came back to try and chisel the costs down, and we went out and got individual costs, and we're gonna manage it ourselves. And we would rather if you get a reputable engineer to handle the project and to make the proper drawing, stuff like that. So we went out and we retained Catalyst Engineering. And we put in a new proposal. Our whittled down proposal had a marker of I think 50. What it did not have was a marker for the manager of the project. So we were going to do that ourselves. Realized that, so we've asked Catalyst to actually manage the project for us. So not only to do the drawings and get the quotes, but to manage the whole process. And so that if you look at the sheet that I send in, originally they were asking for 50,000, and that's gone up to about 68.7 with them managing the project. So I'm just going to talk about a few of these things. And then, like the foundation work, we had a contractor who going to do the foundation work for $65,000. And when Catalyst went out and retained general contractors, this contractor was not among them. So we knew we had whittled it down, and what you see the difference between 65 and 121 is how it came in, and they were the and Cape Associates were the low. Not asking for more money, but we're concerned that line item that was approved, each line item, or most of them, are higher. And we will either go out and get other funds or dip into our own capital account and pay for some of these things over and above what you have approved. We want to make sure that if the foundation does cost 121.68 versus 65, that the allotted, that the funds of 264.188, that can be paid for out of that. It's not 65 plus whatever contingency we had in there. And then that's all that finance would pay. So that's was our concern.
So just to remind me, did we approve 264,188? Okay, thank
And
you.
it was accepted at time.
With these, as you, okay, approved CPA funds.
Yes.
Yeah,
So everything's
Okay.
been approved. Line items are now drastically
Right.
different. And so I'm just appealing to the CPC
that we would intend to start at the foundation. Do all the work that's required because of all the people that came, Cape Associates and they couldn't see 2/3 of the foundation underneath because the crawl space is blocked. They're anticipating certain things, but until they actually excavate underneath the meeting house, they won't be able to see all the points. And so we've asked, so this was a general quote that came back from Cape Associates. We've asked Catalyst to drill down and get us specific costs from them, more specific, so we understand a little bit better, but and those are general, these are under Cape Associates, these are the costs, and we're gonna have to cut something out of like we may delay the doors and the windows if as you can see, we've got a $74,000 shortfall. So we're gonna have to cut something out, and we'll probably add something from our own capital fund to make up the difference of what we decide that we'll end up doing.
So how does this committee deal with those budget changes? Then
I'm
I'm asking,
As long as we're at the 264, 188, I guarantee you, there's never been one we've ever done on a line item that came in at the line item. that we
Right.
budgeted.
so the fact that the line items change,
Yep, as long as you're not going to another line item that was never listed before.
correct? And if they leave out items that are in this, is that?
Well, I understand
That's
they may
fine,
have to do
yeah.
that.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
not a problem. I would say though, that for accounting purposes, if you're gonna be going over, which something will go over on a line item, one line item or many may go over, so there should be a vote, because then I can include that with to the submission, in the submission to the accounting department.
And I want to get that detail, that other detail and those costs. Which is forthcoming in a day or so. You guys were meeting today, so
So in other words, you want to solidify these estimates.
I want to, what I want is if the foundation ends up costing $121,068. And we put in prior 65,000, that you will pay the 121,68. And we'll continue along the project until we hit 264, 188. And then say delay the doors and the window preservation, or we may end up not putting in the ramp. Okay, the ramp is turned out to be quite expensive.
You can get a time delay in the ramp. I'm just telling you,
Right.
because
Right, so
I've done this. You make it 5 years.
we might delay one of it, like we're already, the roof is a phase 2. So I'm not asking for more funds.
Get that.
I just want to know that if we put in, and let's say they get under there and it costs another 30,000 or 40,000 for a couple of sill beams and a couple of, upright beams to be sistered in or something like that. That as long as we're under the allotted amount, that you guys will pay it. We don't have a cash flow problem. We just want to make sure.
Well, as you know, you have to start with the foundation. You can't do that
Right.
halfway. So,
Could I just ask, would the existing ramp stay usable? Because if you don't have a ramp at all, then it's not handicap
No,
accessible.
we're not, that's not the program.
I'm sorry?
That's not what we're gonna do. If we don't do the ramp, we won't take the old ramp out, and we won't.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And we
the
won't
old ramp
redo
is
the
still-
landing either, because they're tied in.
Okay,
So the plan is to have a non-railing slope come from the outside and around and come up into the which is a 1.5 feet. And it's 20 inches per 1 foot. And it will be a natural, more natural.
but that's the design you want to do, but if you're not able to make those changes, you still will have a ramp so that it's accessible. That's
Yeah,
what
we're
I'm
not
asking.
taking the ramp out
Okay,
unless the new
that's all-
ramp
that's
goes
all
in.
I'm asking. So what would our motion be?
That's what.
Well, Yeah, I'd just like to suggest, we just went through this with the prior request where the actual bills came in, Bob, and you'd be able to tell us how this distribution among these line items changed.
Even the detail that comes in a day or two,
It's just an estimate, right?
they still haven't seen
Right.
They haven't seen
2/3
it.
of underneath.
So the experience we just had was they have an actual bill that actually changed the whole profile of
Right.
their spending request of us. Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that we move in the direction, same way, when you get the bill. As you know, we can fund you up to 264.
Yep.
Well,
would-
what
We
we,
won't have trouble paying the bill. We won't have trouble.
what we
paying
could do in case it comes.
restructure.
I think Don's worried about the town accountant. So I think we can make a motion that we are gonna fund up to 264 pending Bob giving us an update on the line items.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna sit here every 2 weeks and say, well, the
Right.
bill's 70.
Yeah, or the
So-
line
Right.
items have changed.
Yeah,
e-
they're gonna
every 2
change.
weeks, yeah.
So we're
So
gonna
they-
say we approve that that's okay, but
That's a
he's
good
not
idea.
to exceed.
Right, so if they go into it in the spring, let's say they start in.
George has
say,
got a question.
George,
So, Don Marie, would it make it easier downstream if we were to make this motion and then redo the contract? So that, because this is what Treasury, goes against, right? This detail. So if we're changing the line, the concept of this, does it make sense to do the motion, approve it, and then do a contract modification?
For what that amount would cover as
That,
opposed to.
that,
what
that
was
we
the
don't,
line
we
item.
no longer have the line item and the 25% applied therefore, but just what Joanne said is that it's up to and not to exceed 264, 188. And then it takes that question out of play, right?
I think, right, the accounting department isn't so concerned with how much they spend on each line item. It's just the way the contract is written. It says you can exceed and you can use your contingency, and that's
and
it.
that's what George is
So
saying.
if you
should
need more
work.
flexibility,
I think we-
then I think that can be the motion.
Well, you probably
approve
need more flexibility, but
total-
then they put a shovel in the ground.
Yeah,
Exactly.
up to 264 as needed.
I mean, if you want, we can come back. I can
That's-
bring Maria Raber with me. And she can explain it maybe. I don't know.
I think on the face of
I
it,
don't-
it's.
I think it's
think that
necessary,
we should make the
frankly.
motion Based on that, and then you just keep going and come back,
Okay,
because it would be a contractual
Yeah.
update on the budget. Which he keeps us informed and lets us know when we keep going.
Yeah, because you're not gonna end up spending more than
No.
you've already, that was already approved at town meeting. That's really the
Right.
linchpin.
It's just how he's
Right.
gonna use.
How he's gonna use that internally is written in the contract. So if you make a statement that they can, use the 264 with flexibility as needed. And I include that with the payment request. I can point it out to them and they
So-
can say, okay, that's great.
Somebody do that motion.
I'll be here another half hour.
No, it's quite simple, Joy. You go in, do the motion.
Who wants to do the motion?
So what am I saying?
Yeah,
So I move that, sorry.
to allow, like, to allow variation in the
To allow
line
variations in
items.
Line items, but not to exceed the 264, 188 initially awarded.
I think that's simple, it's fine.
No.
But
Second.
we're
Yes,
not
Judy?
just allowing variations. Does that mean, because it might eliminate some of the line items?
I know, but he's not
It
adding
will.
any, not adding any.
And he
because-
can't,
Okay.
right, not adding, you can take away and you can't really know exactly where it's gonna end up, but it's gonna end up at 264, 188.
Don't say that again.
Seconded.
What did we say to allow? Oh, I got it on here. Variations in line items
Up to,
up to,
264,
yeah.
188.
yeah, for the Yarmouth Friends Meeting House.
go.
Thank you.
When
See, It
is-
was a cooperative.
When is your January?
Well, we have to do the motion, seconded by George. Now we need to take it. Unless you want to discuss the motion, that's what we're going with. So now we take a voice.
Lee, I.
Lee, I, Mary Ann.
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Judy, I.
Deb,
Joanne,
Joanne?
yes,
Christine,
I.
Gary, I.
All right,
Okay, so now go ahead, Bob.
All right, so I can come back in the January or February meeting.
Yeah.
We've already reimbursed Catalyst significantly for all the work that they've done, so, and everything has worked really smoothly, so, with reimbursement.
Good.
great,
Okay.
great.
thanks for being
Um,
cookie stroll.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
The Quaker connection.
There we go.
Oh.
Quaker meeting. School house, Place house. and
Well,
South Kelly's house.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. And my house,
And you might as well stay there, Bob.
and my house.
Does he want that now? Further on the-
Yeah. So we
I
can
think
reimburse
it's
them for that.
next. I think I tried to make it work out that way.
I'm going to be in
It's
character.
next.
This is, went through town meeting last. week.
Oh, then I need to
Yeah.
get over
It's
there.
already-
Be
Hey,
there
just so
all
I
day.
footbridge is next.
Bob, you might as well stay here.
Okay.
This money's already been approved.
Right.
I'd like to introduce Nina Bennett. She is with the trustee. of the Historical Society of
Nina.
Yarmouth, and Nina's gonna help me along the line with grants. I had sent Dawn Marie some pictures, but I didn't print them out. So there is I would refer you to the GIS map that I submitted. And I actually made the picture and I actually go in where the upgraded wetlands are, the culvert that was, we used CPA funds to rebuild 4 years ago. And the downgradient wetland, where the footbridge is, and that there is a creek which is sometimes dry, gradient wetlands, that this footbridge spans. When this bridge was put in, I don't think there were any conservation requirements. Simple bridge, rests on both shoulders of the creek. Stems from the old Yarmouth Inn.
Do you know what year the bridge was put in?
I don't.
You know what, I'm gonna look at, I printed out the field cards. You go on, I'm just gonna see if it shows on the field cards, if there were
Oh, it might.
any
It might
permits
say it.
pulled.
That's my question. Was it ever permitted to begin with?
have a feeling it didn't have any permits either.
I have a
Go
feeling
for
that's the
Oak
case.
Highway, because it's,
It's not
it's
seen.
plastic bridge, it's not wood. Yeah, so.
It's something that this is.
It should have a list of permits down at the bottom.
It was put in.
Looks like
jointly,
they're mostly,
By
you
both,
might be
okay.
able to read
but
this
I'm-
easier than
I'm
I can,
applying
actually.
as
As the-
That's
Historical
the,
Society.
Yep.
I still have to get permission. From
Nothing about the bridge on here at all.
the old Yarmouth. It's not a permanent structure. There's no concrete.
Okay,
But can I ask a question? If you need permission from them, are they
That's
selling
right.
the restaurant? Will the new
Doesn't even
owners,
mention the bridge.
is there a,
I
I
didn't
heard
see
there
it.
might be a question of so like, if they say yes, but then the new owners come in a few months, if they are selling it, can they say no?
I'm-
Do you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
my next question would be, half of this isn't even on our property.
Right, well, I'm just, yeah, I'm going down another.
So I mean, can we approve? So
I need to get approval
Right,
from them. I don't believe there's any kind of contract or anything
Okay.
like that. Historical Society is quite backward when it comes to the
Yep.
earlier days, so I need to get and I've already gone to Down Cape Engineering
mhm.
and got a proposal for them. It's like, you know, $7,500 for the engineering on this, and they will require
You have to go to Road Conservation, Old Kings Highway.
no, I don't think Old Kings Highway, that's not
Yes,
visible.
you do.
Is it?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All right,
If they saw what's there now.
yeah, well, they would. It's really unsafe. We'll have to
Yeah,
shore it
it
up
is.
for a year in order to use it, but it's really the only way for folks to
My
get
question
into
would
the
be,
wedding.
can we fund something that half belongs to the old Yarmouth Inn? I went down and looked- I've been over it before. I went down and looked at it after Bob mentioned it to me.
And it goes to,
It
Kelly
goes right to
Chapel?
Kelly Chapel, yeah. If you don't wanna walk the trail up and around.
My sister was married at the Kelly Chapel
Oh,
and she walked across that bridge and we had our reception at the old Yarmouth Inn.
That's why.
And it was lovely,
It's been a very.
but that
nice
was 20 years
collaboration.
ago.
It
Bob,
still
yeah.
happens a lot. They still do a lot of the weddings, still have their receptions.
Oh, yeah.
Is the bridge not functional now at all?
It is functional, but it's wonky. We could shore it up for another year, but
I would block it off if I were you.
It's unsafe.
4 people walk over it at one time.
right.
I'm
So
just-
this is the work in progress then, because you don't have any amount in here, correct? I don't see any figure.
this
Well,
is a-
I
This
think
is a
the fir-
request for
the-
interest,
The first question is, can we fund this?
right? That's the question. That,
I mean, I like the bridge. I'd love to keep it, but
I've been to Kelly Chapel. and I've
But
been
it's
to
a
the old-
benefit to the old Yarmouth Inn with taxpayer money.
Right.
I'd like to have a little
Well-
bridge in my backyard too. You guys want to give me the money?
Not every reception.
No, I'll
except
take
the
a
old
pool
Yarmouth-
instead.
yeah, no, it's not,
The old Yarmouth Inn, because they open at 4 o'clock, has always allowed the Historical Society to park at the deep part of the parking lot. So they've always accommodated the Historical Society, you know.
Accommodating's fine.
Yeah, but the only part that. they
I
go-
just want to make sure we're doing something that's friggin' legal.
Did you say that?
I did say it. But I don't want to get
Because-
off point here. The-
Right.
My question.
Say that the historical society then would have to find out if who's got ownership of it and insuring it or whatever. And
Well, that's a
will it be
question too.
legal on our side? I mean, let's say in next year, Old Yarmouth Inn gets sold. I
They-
buy it and I'm like, I don't want that bridge on my property because I don't want liability of it.
Right,
Yeah.
Do you knock it down? Like who, does it become part of the contract of selling it that you have to keep it? I mean, just,
I don't know.
it's a
It's
different time and a different.
possible, I guess.
And I
But you
think
have
it is
to-
for sale.
You'd have to put a
It
deed,
is, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but.
you'd have to have the old Yarmouth Inn sign off on a deed restriction.
right, right.
Right,
That they can't knock it down and they have to let us do it.
because it is.
We went
partly
through that
legal.
with the water tower down
So-
the
Yep.
street.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that's the question, Bob. Does the HSOID show that the property line is on this side.
Yeah,
of
it's the creek.
The
all
creek is the
middle
property
of the
line.
creek.
Yeah. and the-
I'm looking at the assessors. Thing is what I'm going by.
Where is the,
It looks like it's right on the creek,
Could we
and
fund-
maybe it isn't.
could we Fund half of
Flip it
it.
over.
Yeah, they have the bridge just end.
Well, look at the
See,
bridge
this is-
between Yarmouth and Comaquid. You know.
See this?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the Town did it, and
Yeah.
the book doesn't even matter.
Come around if you pull into the.
But I don't
driveway, you
know.
go all the way to the
Where
back.
is the property?
I
line?
know
is
that's
there.
what they're talking with the bridges.
This
but
is Old Yarmouth Restaurant right there.
Yes, I know that, but where is the,
So I,
Down Cape would be able, if they did a survey.
Circle
they'd be able to
inside
know.
your-
well, I think that's all in the.
What
in
is
there,
Yeah.
here?
which
So
is-
Kelly Chapel
Right.
is here. This is Old Yarmouth. So we can
The
come
creek
around
is the
the back
property
here.
line.
But my guess would be, and I don't know,
I
that
usually
we couldn't
drive
fund
over
this
and-
unless we had a
Oh,
deed
yeah.
restriction from Old Yarmouth Inn.
Yeah, a couple of times I've been.
Sounds right.
But I
So-
know there was a bridge.
Okay.
We did it with the
Oh,
water
yeah.
tower down
Oh, I
there.
still don't know where
Street.
the,
He was gonna give us a deed restriction that people, it went along with the
If you cross the
value
bridge,
of his house,
the historical
that he
society
would
owns
allow
that
public access
yeah,
to
but
Wood
where is
Water
it?
Tower.
Oh.
And it got voted down at town meeting, which was stupid because it reduced the value of his property.
That is the.
But the water tower was on his property.
Tell me to go to the town.
Yeah. Believe me, I thought it was foolish. We're saving an old wood tower and the town would have access to it forever.
We might have to get Steve Black involved in this.
This is
So
an
was that
inquiry.
one
This
sold
is-
out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You'll
who
have
you
to
should
go back
ask,
tomorrow.
but I'm no, I don't know.
Right. But there's interest if I can get that deed restriction.
My opinion, what's everybody else
Ye-
think?
How do you make it, transferable if the property gets sold?
It's a deed
That's the
restriction,
thing. It doesn't, yeah, it stays with the property.
It stays with the land.
right? So if they sold it tomorrow, it devalues your property. does. Because you can't stop people then from accessing this bridge.
I guess when the property across the street from my son's home in Commercial Street in Provincetown, he has written in his deed that he can cross that property to get to the beach.
Mhm.
Basically,
be
this is the
transferred
same
to
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we know what I gotta do.
Yeah.
And I'll.
Well,
come
check with your lawyer too, because I'm giving you my, I don't know.
Well, I
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
You had to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, the county, Bonneville County deeds, and you can read. all
I
the
did
deeds.
sleep in a holiday.
I don't
Inn.
know if that's page 10.
Oh, that's the,
Oh, that's
you seen that
that.
commercial?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, Bob, you are
Okay.
serious.
Bob, you might have to have a survey done.
That bridge was
We
there.
are,
Yeah, with boundary marker, you know. kind of
The,
boundary markers.
we have maps. So this was a gift by Larry Pereira,
Oh, okay.
and it
Yeah.
was a 50-acre gift along with another 50 acres for Woodside Cemetery. And and so we have, right, so we have surveys.
Yeah, yeah.
We have old maps and surveys done. And I'm 99% sure the creek is.
Yeah.
If not, Lori has everything up in his library.
But you know, the complicating part again is I think that's in transition to be sold. That's what we hear on the street.
All right,
Has it been owned
Okay,
local?
good luck.
Are they
Thank you.
local owners?
Oh, yeah, they
Oh, yeah, they
live
live
around
right
the corner. Yeah, they live on the corner,
On the.
on the curb. I'm sorry, they live on the curb.
Haunted upstairs.
Yeah, I've never been in.
Oh, you know,
I guess next we have
Oh,
Jeff,
you
right?
understand.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
get the
not ownership.
Oh, no,
official
Yeah, they're on
application
the curb.
I see it.
On
for
the-
the, bye Bob, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Bob.
Here, bye-bye.
And
So we're
I'll
going-
unmute Jeff Colby. There he is.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hi, Jeff.
We're on the cottage roof. Is that
Yeah.
where we're going now? Okay.
The one thing that I would point out about the application is you have that in front of you. It is $5,000 higher than what I talked about when I was with you before, because that covers the cost of the pressure treated shingles. Previously, we hadn't costed that out. We looked at that. That's about a $3,000 increase for pressure treated shingles. So we kind of built that into the request. That's why it's different, but that would include everything, including the cedar breather throughout the whole roof for that $45,000. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Didn't you have surgery recently? Are you doing well?
No, that was Bill Burnett.
Yeah, Bill Benetti.
Yeah.
Yeah, DNR.
Just like I didn't.
Can I ask a question, Jeff? I'm Judy Wilchinski, new to the committee. It sounded like when you came and presented, the roof had been done in the last several years, but done improperly, correct?
It was over 10 years, I
10
believe.
years ago, whatever.
It was
But it
over 10 years ago, and it had just galvanized staples that were used. So although the shingles weren't improper, the fasteners were.
Okay, so the guarantee from whatever company did it, they're no longer in business. And I noticed in some of the roofing GAF and proposals, it's like 15 years, warranty and workmanship and different things. Is that an issue with the current company? Because we don't know, are they responsible, or do we go back to the shingle company if there's any issues with the current shingles that they plan to use?
Yeah, we can't go back to the shingle company for the previous project. I mean, again, the shingles.
Right, but for the one you're proposing now, on the sheets that we got within the proposal, it talked about warranties and workmanship to be like workmanship for 25 years. Do we know the company that you're planning to use? Like, we don't know if they're gonna be in business in 25 years, but
We don't know who we're going to use. What I included in the packet was just the roof assessment that Kazalt had done for us. They're not guaranteed to get the job. We
okay.
have to bid this out publicly.
okay, all right, thank you.
So it really depends on who we get. We don't know who that'll be at this time. I included
Okay.
the report just so you knew that we had backup to the cost.
Thank you.
So there's no,
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't mention the stainless steel in his estimate, Jeff.
He doesn't, but we will ensure that they use it, and the difference between budgets, it won't change the budget, but we'll ensure they use stainless steel.
He hasn't bought stainless steel staples lately then. We pay a premium for those, but I'm glad you're doing the pressure treated. Well worth it, I tell you. Okay.
So
Questions of Jeff?
on the very last page, it has an itemized list, which is
Yeah,
a lot more than 45,000.
I think that's a shopping list for other items. The actual list for just the roof is before that.
Yeah, that's correct. They did throw in some other things that were either going to have our facilities crew do or just address separately. It really is the roof that's the most time sensitive piece for us.
So I think, Lee, that's what we're going by.
Okay.
But there's two you can.
Yep, George?
If there's no other conversation or questions, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
Motion that we approve the project not to exceed $45,000 with the condition that the staples be stainless
And the shingles be pressure treated.
and the shingles be pressure treated.
Okay,
I second it.
motion by George, seconded by Debbie. Voice call on that, George?
Judy, I.
Deb,
Joanne, I.
Christine, I.
Lee, I.
Marianne? Gary, aye.
Jeff,
Good deal.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for hanging in.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
From someone else.
All right.
Your budget update if you want to.
The budget update, let's see. Oh, the cottage roof has been added in for $45,000. I'm gonna right now take out the HSOY footbridge because that's not gonna make it for spring, right?
No.
Before you delete that.
Yeah.
The snow sign, leave that going forward.
That is going forward, and we've had a conversation with the Plymouth Sign Company, and they've given us an estimate of $850. So we think that we can find that in the budget and not have to borrow money.
That's putting the old sign back up, which I think is foolish, but just get a sign up is the way I look at it.
Just
Deal with it later.
Make Gary so
It's absolutely insane that we put $1 million into that
So they're just.
and
redoing
nobody
the old
knows what
sign?
it is. Well,
They're just redoing the old sign?
Yeah,
Then I'm.
I'm asking you again. I'm gonna ask you.
any sign.
there may,
I'm not gonna complicate it.
there may come another application for another sign, but not in the next 12 months, okay?
So this may be
Okay.
temporary, but we'll have it up by next summer. right?
Oh, you gonna have it standing out there temporarily?
Hey, I put the wreath up there last year
Did
with
you?
my own,
Oh, that's so nice of you.
because there was no
All
sign.
right, so that's done. So, I think that's basically the extent of the budget update that I had for you. Now, if I find my notes. Taylor Bay Farm Cottage Roof, yeah. So that's where things sit at the moment, and now we've got to divide them up. Your buckets,
There. Christine.
The adult shared living would be 0.
right?
The next one, Affordable Housing Trust. That only has 197,058. Difference has to come out of undesignated, right?
If that's how you want to do it, yeah.
So we put
2,942.
we put 200,000 in that box, right?
No,
197,058.
197,058 under housing,
And then the differential.
and then 2,942.
Yep.
Undesignated, right?
Beautiful.
Okay. Good math.
You don't have anything on Wild Rose yet?
Well, I was gonna do it on staff updates, but I can do it now as well. The appraisal has come in. And we should discuss it probably at a executive session.
Yeah.
So when we pick our next meeting date, we can put that on the agenda if that's what you'd like to do. Okay.
The Phragmites? How do you want that?
Open space or undesignated?
Open space.
You want to try it on open space right now?
I would take it out of undesignated. Because we had that listed again as rec and open space.
Oh, let me put that back in there. Open space and.
Your money in undesignated for this.
There we go.
So I'm putting the 37 in undesignated.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's my
Okay.
recommendation.
The Pond, 217,500
I would say it would be the same.
undesignated. Town waste to water, 155.
I think that. Recreation, right?
$155.
Out of undesignated,
Undesignated. The cottage roof.
historic.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry to go back. For,
I got it on the screen up there if you want.
yeah, I can see it better here.
Okay.
That's not Braille?
It should be. It should be at
I
this
thought
point.
about that too when I
Oh my
printed these.
God.
I said,
Oh,
oh,
I always
they're so
print these in
small.
legal when you
I
send
will
it to
do
me.
that. Yeah,
So
I'll do that next time.
155, town wastewater.
Yeah.
Open space and recreation, why wouldn't we put it in there?
My opinion, it doesn't fall into open space.
Recreation,
Recreation.
isn't that what that column is?
We could take it out
Well,
of either one,
Undesignated.
Right, because recreation doesn't have its own column.
right?
So it
Oh,
either
I'm
comes from
sorry.
open space or undesignated.
Oh, all right, so it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter.
Well,
Well, it would
except
be
for the,
undesignated. Because
Yeah, all the
recreation
town
doesn't have a
parks
column.
and everything are undesignated, yeah.
I'm just looking at the allocations, we don't have much left. Why not use the 155 under the open
Under open
open
space.
space?
Because
and
it's not preserving open space.
Oh, okay, all right.
Don't know that they're all required by.
We'd have to go through each one of them.
Yeah. Yes, and much easier under.
And that's part of
I
it.
get it, I get it.
Part of what-
It's a cleaner, it's like a more flexible
Yeah,
account. I
yeah,
get it.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Christine, thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry for my. All righty.
all right, so
All right,
that would
got
leave
it.
you with $152,058 in historic.
Oh, so it's the roof is historic, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
sorry.
45 would be historic. Yeah.
zero out housing. Leave 1,107,635 in open space. And 1,301,632 in undesignated.
And that can be carried over, correct?
It's always carried over.
It is
Yep.
carried over.
Oh,
You got,
I've been saving funds for years.
you can carry undesignated into other columns, but you can't take it out of, for instance, out of historic and transfer it to open space. That's why there's much better to take them out of undesignated. Because you have leeway. No other columns have that.
Now, once you put it in that lockbox, it's stuck there.
It's stuck there
Ah,
That's
okay.
what we
All right,
went
yeah,
through.
I should
with the
have been on
drive-in.
this committee a few years,
You
sorry
have
about
to
that.
bring the
Didn't
45
realize
from
that.
the cottage roof over to the total.
And,
Put yours on yours in. I can't see.
and then,
I'm with you.
there you go, that's all yours.
Good Lord.
So we're keeping the pool on that list, even though it might not go forward?
We said we
Right, 'cause
keep
we
the
keep the
application
application
open.
And Facebook master, park master plan,
That application is also open, but we didn't have a dollar figure in there. So,
email us a copy of this?
Yep.
Oh, with all the changes?
With what we have right now. yeah,
well,
showing on the
do you
board.
wanna- you can vote on this if you're ready to.
We can vote on this.
Yeah. To allocate.
I move to accept the.
Right, let's do it as one big slate, or you can do it individually with each application.
No,
No.
looks great to do it.
Looks good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Copy to be attached to the minutes. So
Yes,
people will know
that's
what we're
good.
talking about.
And I'll do the easy part, second.
Okay.
Okay,
Motion by Judy, seconded by Deb. All in favor, George?
I,
Judy.
let me save
Debbie,
this.
Joanne, I.
Christine, I.
Lee, I-
Gary, aye.
This was an easy year.
It was an easy year. Thanks to the drive-in committee.
Conditions?
Oh.
I think we've done a lot of conditions as we went.
You have, and typically, like I kind of consider these your standard conditions now, is that the funds have to be used within 2 years or 3 years. Sometimes
Sometimes we go to
you
3.
go to 3. There needs to be an annual update to the
I think
committee.
Ag Mighties have to go to 3. 'cause
Yeah.
It takes them 3 years to do it.
Yeah,
Crow Pond, same.
Should be the same,
Yeah.
but we don't have the dollar. Yes, we do on that
Yeah,
one.
the 217.
So that would have to be 3.
I think Town Ways to Water is gonna take a while.
That would be, yeah.
It might
might
take
be more
longer
than
than they
two.
think, so I would say we do 3 on that.
It's a
I
It may
mean-
not be for the assessment, but it's
it's a
the
great project.
doing
Exactly.
afterwards.
but and the thing is, when the contract's drawn up, again, that's another part that accounting looks at. So you don't want them to be submitting invoices 28 months after the fact.
Yeah.
And then the accounting department says, no, they had to be spent within 2 years, right?
No,
Yeah.
because they can always come back.
'Cause they can
prior to
always
the
come
3
back,
years,
yeah.
And we give them an extension.
So those 3 will be 3 years and the remaining will be 2 years,
Mhm.
Affordable Housing Trust.
Crest
That's-
should be 2.
It's just 2 of them.
The roof should be 2, definitely.
Why wouldn't the trust be just one? Don't we just do that right away?
We're trying to give them an extra year. I'm sure they'll take it right away.
Yeah, they'll take the check right. Well, the sooner they have it, the sooner
Right.
they can distribute it.
You just need more time, because 78 people have to review it, and when they go on vacation and put something off for 2 weeks.
Red cottage is to, well,
Right,
plus
Yeah.
the-
Well, like, that was, those conditions were in your motion.
yep, yep, yep,
So they'll be part of it.
yep,
They'd be part of the contract.
yep. All right, and then again, the annual update to CPC and letting you know when other grant applications are submitted and or awarded. That would be Kroll Pond Restoration, right? He's going for other money, isn't he?
Yes.
That's really the, maybe, no, not frag
Who's
monies,
gonna
but
look
that,
in to
that's
make
about
sure
the only
we
one.
own the property too.
Right, right. So that's pretty easy.
Sorry, it was so easy.
That's just delightful.
A question on the bonding for
I was gonna ask that.
the drive-in site. Has there been well, it'd be good to have a status on if there's been a sale or purchase. How would this work? Someone is buying our bonds, our municipal bonds.
I don't think we
for that.
applied for the bond yet.
No, we haven't. No,
She just started the first stuff.
So we'll let the interest
Yeah.
rate keep going up and then we'll apply.
Yeah. The longer we
Just
wait,
being
the more it's
smart
gonna
ass.
cost.
But yeah, I'd like to know what that number is too, but they have to actually,
There may be permitting issues still preventing them from moving forward. I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't talked to Kathy or Karen on that, but it would be good to know when they're gonna line up and issue the bonds for purchase. And then I would think we would want to know what those costs are going to be going on.
right, right.
The other side. It's on this one. I don't know. You have an Android. Yeah, I don't know how to use it, Droid. Just
I can't see
in
it.
terms of, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just looking at the bottom line, that looks great, that we have 2.5 million.
Yeah,
That's sitting in
Oh, I
our
would-
bank.
I would anticipate the bond is
I
like
think we were
400
less
or
than,
something.
it was around 400 yesterday, yeah, okay. So we
Yeah.
still got a lot of money in the bank, which is good.
Yeah, but the thing, like if an open space thing comes up, they're gonna be $1 million.
yeah.
A pool.
There you go. Yep,
Good night.
Yeah.
yep.
That's-
He should have it.
And we put on the staff updates, because I told you about the appraisal, so let's pick a next meeting date.
That's what I'm.
24th.
There you go. I guess it's.
Twenty-four.
Do we have the calendar in here?
Bless you, bless you.
Sorry, don't.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Where are we right now? We're at the 29th.
Read my
13
calendar.
or 20. Number?
What?
Yeah, we're the 29th now.
Yeah, we're at the 29th of November now, so be December 6th, December 13th, December 20th, December 27th.
13th is good, the 20th is my anniversary.
6 to 13. 20th, you're getting.
Yeah.
Close.
20th is getting too close.
13.
Yeah.
13?
That's the Wednesday.
12/13 at 3 o'clock.
Nothing about people.
We will be discussing, there will be an executive session because we will be
Okay.
discussing Wild Rose Terrace. Acquisition. We have, yes, but it's because it's the negotiation for real estate, then it should be discussed in executive session, which is why I haven't given you a copy of the appraisal. Because that will be,
Cranberry Bog area.
yes, yeah. And you can see if you want to take the next step, which is, I think, to have the 21E report peer reviewed. And see if a independent source agrees with the 21E that was provided by the owner of the property. And what you might want to consider funding, if anything.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, well.
So that would be the only thing kind of on the, okay.
No, you'll have more minutes.
Oh, yep. Well, there we go.
Make sure that I get some minutes done for you. What else? Anything anybody else can think of? We're not really waiting on anything else from any of these applicants. You let me know, Gary, if you think of anything else.
Are you gonna have the actual estimate for the sign, right?
Yes, we'll have a sign update. And actually, I'll get some other project updates for you too.
Or you might want to get an update on the drive-in with the bonding that Joanne
Yep.
just asked.
All right, chief, I'm on my way down. Okay. These kids, all they like to do is cause trouble. And they call me up and I gotta do the community hours with them.
Good.
Just it doesn't. Stupid question, but I see they're gonna try and redo the Route 28. I would think they're gonna wait till after the sewer lines go in.
Yeah.
That's one of the points of contention, yeah.
Yeah, the
It
timing,
should be, it shouldn't even be a discussion.
They don't care. They do what they
Who
want.
doesn't care?
Mass DOT. They
I mean, I
come
went,
in and they
Yeah,
do what
but
they
it's still
want.
our tax dollars.
If you attend one of the
I
meetings,
dealt with them before.
then they will just yes you to death and they'll come in and do what they want.
Are they doing the whole town?
The town shouldn't allow it.
28.
I mean, the presentation that they gave, I went, it was on Monday. By DOT. I thought was very well done. They were more transparent than I thought they would be, but there was far less property owner interest. This is going to affect hundreds of property owners whose rights of way.
Yeah.
I know this is not on the agenda, so we probably shouldn't be talking about it, but and the chamber was there, representatives of the chamber. But no one else
Well,
said
they
anything.
they didn't do any real outreach. They gave us a flyer and
Yeah.
said, distribute this. And
And you
that's the
did.
extent of
That's how
the
I found out,
outreach.
yep.
But they didn't send letters to homeowners. right?
Not, I
Oh,
guess
well,
not,
to property
it's the
owners, not yet.
not yet,
No.
because it's only the 25% design phase.
Is there gonna be any
So-
takings?
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
Oh, there has to be.
Oh, yeah.
yep.
Gee,
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know what it is, 50% design phase that they have to like actually notify property owners?
There, yeah,
So
at some point
Hopefully
they,
it's 50 and not 75%
yeah, at some
design.
point, all of the property owners on both sides, north and south, have to be notified. But their traffic solutions, I mean, I thought were pretty interesting. I think they appear to be good, and these are, traffic engineers who seem to know what they're doing, but again, it was one of those things where it's been delayed, and now we have to fit, our sewer
Mhm.
has to fit into their timetable, because they're not gonna rip up the roadway twice.
Right.
well, that's what it was getting.
Which is gonna be a
I've
big del-
seen them do it in Barnstable.
But they're gonna lose funds or something.
Well, I think the town is prepared to go from the point from Parkers River, east. They're ready to go on that, which doesn't affect this. The Route 28 complete rebuild, if I'm right, Don Marie, is from Hyannis, the
Yeah.
Barnstable line, to Parkers River. And all of the wastewater stuff they can do in what they call, it's not phase 2, but one other phase in the sewer development project. They can continue that because it's after Parkers River. But the piece before that, we're kind of,
It's crazy.
we have to be married, we gotta be married with them.
I
Yeah.
think
Be
it should be
ashamed.
done in
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
phases, do the road and the sewers in one phase. And
That will never
then do all the
happen.
takings and everything else. The takings take so long to go. through
Yeah, but
the
they can't
courts.
do either of those two things without the takings, because they're widening it. They're widening the roadway to be a more standard 11-foot width. And they're adding in a multi-use lane, which will be for pedestrians, bikes, and
They just take so long. I mean,
Yeah.
up on
Yeah.
Route 6A, there's been a dead tree that I've written to them for 10 years. And I went by the other day and the tree is down. Some email.
the state took.
I mean, the tree was
Yeah.
getting deader than a doornail. And if it fell, it was surrounded on 3 sides by wires.
Anyway,
Oh,
that's
All right.
off the agenda, I apologize.
So has anybody read the minutes?
Yep.
For October 18th?
Yes,
Oh, did we get minutes?
we did.
Very well done.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome. Anybody want to? Oh, thank you, George.
I didn't.
All in favor, George?
Aye.
Judy?
Joanne, I.
Christine,
Lee?
I have to pass because I didn't see the minutes. I didn't.
Very nice.
anybody live on the north side, the Old Kings?
Oh, that's
Highway?
right. We have the Old
Election
Kings
is
Highway
5,
election at
between
5.
5 and 6 tonight.
Let me just
Adjourn?
make sure nobody's.
By George,
Second.
seconded by Christine.
All right.
Favor?
Aye.
Got it.
Good.
Um,